Yo guys, what's going on? It's Rose here, bringing guys the draft analysis for the Devil's Den Draft League. It's a draft league hosted by my buddy Brendan, my good buddy Brendan. There's, I think, 10 of us in this season. It's the first season we're doing this. It's Gen 9 Wi-Fi. It's my first, proper league it's my first league of Gen 9, so I'm really excited. A couple things before we get into it. There were some bans, and this was a free draft. So basically, we could draft whatever the hell we wanted. No restrictions, realistically. A couple of Pokemon bans, a couple of, move/ability bans. You know, just a couple of things like that. But, yeah, I'm really excited. I love this team. And before, just one last thing before we get into this. I had the first overall pick. I have never had the number one pick, ever. I don't believe so. Whether it's on a recorded league or a non-recorded league, I don't believe I've ever gotten the first overall pick, especially in a Wi-Fi league. But yeah, I had the first overall pick, and with that pick, we're just gonna get into it. We selected Goldango, Frigo the Goldango. I'm super excited to use this mon. It is a monster. 84 base speed, 133 base special, 133 base special attack. This thing hits super, super hard. Its signature move is basically like Draco Meteor, but it doesn't miss, and instead of 2 stages drop, it's a 1-stage drop to the special attack. It basically has no switch-ins, and I'm very much content with having this as the number one pick. I could have had things like Iron Valiant, could have had Roaring Moon, but this was this is the thing I wanted to do. I had some other plans for those typings, but yeah, I really was like, you know what? And I was talking with Flame as well, who had the number 2 overall pick, and he was like, you know what, honestly, it's either Goldango or Roaring Moon as the best mon in the format, in my opinion. And I had no idea what I was going to do, so I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to fucking pick Goldango. I know it's good in VGC, so I'm going to see if it's good in singles. So we're going to have to see how that plays out. But yeah, huge, I'm so excited for this mon, man. I'm so excited to use it. Next up, we got Baxcalibur. It's going to be nicknamed Gojira this season. As you can see, really well overall, just really well-rounded. 115 base HP, 145 attack, pretty solid defenses, and decent speed. 87 is not bad, especially because it gets Dragon Dance, which is huge. And its ability, Thermal Exchange, is amazing. Means it can't be burned, and anytime it's hit by a Fire-type move, then it'll raise its attack by 1 stage. So if we're Scarf Baxcalibur, we switch in on, a flamethrower, boom, we're +1 speed, +1 attack, and we can just kind of wipe through things. Also, Goldango's ability, Gold is good as gold, basically is kind of like Comatose, can't status it at all. So that's really good too, so no paras, no anything like that. Next up, got Toad's Cruel. This is our Rapid Spinner. This is our special wall. It's gonna be named Snoot this season. Of course, after the very popular Newt meme. I just thought it fit really well. But yeah, 100 base speed, 120 base special defense. It's, its other stats aren't crazy. 80 base special attack, 80 HP. The other, attack and defense don't really matter. This thing is mainly going to be here to rapid spin, to spore, do all that kind of thing. Its ability, basically, Mycelium Might, what it basically does is it makes it to where the status moves always go last. So Spore, Stun Spore, anything like that, it'll always go last, no matter what. But I believe it ignores abilities, so that's kind of cool. I'm not sure, I'll have to double check on that, but yeah, really excited to use this thing. I picked it up in the 3rd round, maybe a little early, but perfectly fine. Next up, we got Andromeda the Iron Jugulus. Now, ability Quark Drive. If you don't know what that is, there's an item called a Booster Energy, where if it's holding that, it'll boost its speed by 50%, or it's one of its highest attacking stat by 30%. But also, I believe if it's in electric terrain, or some sort, there's a certain, I think it's electric terrain, it'll also do the exact same effect. So that's really cool. 108 base speed, 122 base special attack. This thing basically just clicks Specs Dark Pulse, Specs Hurricane, there's very limited switch-ins to this thing. It hits very hard. It's pretty fast. It's decently bulky as well. It can also, I believe, be physical because you see that 80 base attack, have the 108 base speed, and I believe it gets Dragon Dance, or it gets some form of, it gets a decent like physical move pool. It also has U-turn, which is nice. It's our first like momentum user of the team so far, but I love this design. I love how it looks, and I'm really excited to see how it plays out. Next up, we got Bleezus the Azumarill, though. Honestly, I've used Azumarill like one other time. I didn't like it very much in that, but that was back in like Gen 7, so you know, we're gonna try it again. We're gonna see how it works out. Huge power, thick fat sap sipper, 3 amazing abilities that I can kind of interchange pretty frequently. The only thing that sucks with Azumarill is it no longer gets Whirlpool, and pretty much nothing gets toxic anymore, so you know, that's fine. But that's okay, because you know what? I like to play a little bit more offensive anyway, so this generation, they kind of just went all in on the hyper offense, made it 20-minute timer still the thing, and they took away pretty much everything for removal, and increased everything's hazards tenfold, and they cut, like, the recovery moves, like, PP usage by, like, half. It's nuts. They really overhauled the hyper offense, because they didn't want to stall out with timer, so I guess that's a decent fix. Yeah, 100 base HP, 50 base attack isn't crazy, but if you think about it, with huge power, that's basically base 100, which is decent. And then 80 in both defenses, 50 in speed. It's a pretty slow, it's very slow, but it hits hard. It hits very hard. It's got decent move pool. It's got liquidation, play rough. Gets access to Ice Spinner this generation, which is better than Ice Punch because it's stronger, and it also gets rid of terrain. So if something sets up an electric terrain or a grassy terrain or whatever it is, we'll be able to get rid of that, which is nice. Plus, it gets things like Aqua Jet and Bulldoze and some other, you know, cool moves like that. Next up, though, we got Fuegolade, the Armarouge. I actually really like this nickname. In my playthrough of Scarlet and Violet, I nicknamed this thing Hugh, after my buddy Shadowgolade. So I figured, you know what, we'll keep on that theme, and we'll just go with Fuegolade, because he's on fire. Pretty good stats all around. 125 base special attack is definitely the high point here. 100 base defense, speed, and everything else is kind of not like lackluster, but it's a little bit on the lower side of things. Flash Fire and Weak Armor are great abilities. Weak Armor is really cool because if something wants to U-turn on me, I can switch this thing in, get that +2 speed boost, and kind of just click, like, you know, Specs Inferno Cannon, I believe is what it's called, or Thermal Cannon, something like that. It basically special fire type close combat. So gets that now, gets, you know, Psychic and Psyshock, gets Calm Mind. It's a really solid mod, so I'm really excited to use it. I used it in the playthrough, like I said, and I figured, you know what, it's a decent kind of like budget fire type. Originally, I wanted Skeledirge. I really wanted Skeledirge so badly, but someone else took it instead. So, you know, it is what it is. This is probably would have been the turn that I took it to. So, next up, we got Grafaiai, Zabumafu the Grafaiai, another in-game team member making its, you know, return to my first Gen 9 Draft League. It gets 3 good abilities: Unburden, Poison Touch is pretty decent, and Prankster. It gets Parting Shot, so Prankster is really cool. Even though I'm base 110 speed, that Prankster is very nice, because basically as long as it's on a Dark type, I can Parting Shot on it with no consequences whatsoever. The move pool that this thing gets, it's kind of shit. I'm not going to lie, it gets good poison coverage, it gets basically like 3 normal type stab moves, and I think it gets like a little bit of Dark type coverage. Like, it really doesn't have a great move pool, but it's more of a utility mod than anything, and it just needs to get, like, it gets Gunk Shot, so you know what, we're good. That's all it really needs to do. It just needs to be in here, click fast U-turns or Parting Shots, and, you know, get out of there. It gets Super Fang as well, which is kind of cool. So, next up, we got Ferdinand the Paldean Tauros Aqua, the water type Tauros. I understand we already have Azumarill, and this is our second physical water type, but this kind of breaks through some other stuff. I feel like it helps me break steals, which outside of Armarouge I kind of struggle with, because yeah, Toadskrull is a ground type, but I don't know, I felt like getting something to break bulky steals guaranteed pretty much is very nice, and water fighting is a good, like, type combination. 100 base speed, 110 attack, its defense is pretty solid. Cut. Hey! Knock it off! Yeah, its speed is solid, 110 attack. 3 good abilities, Intimidate and Anger Point are really good, and Cud Chew is a brand new ability. I believe it's exclusive to the Paldean Tauroses. Essentially, from my understanding of how it works, let's say I'm holding like a Salic Berry and it procs. The next turn, it'll proc this turn, and then at the end of next turn, it'll proc as well. So that's something interesting. Could be an interesting tactic. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, it's got decent bulk. Intimidate's an amazing ability. I love Intimidate, so definitely looking forward to that. Next up, we got Bravo 6, the Spidops. It doesn't do anything well. It's decently bulky. Stakeout is cool, base 80 attack essentially. And it sets up webs. That's pretty much the reason I got it, is because it sets up webs, and it's bulky enough to where I can switch it in, set up webs, and then let it die. So, it's got no speed, it's got no special attack, it's got okay attack, like, it's mediocre, but it sets up webs. So, we don't necessarily need webs for our team, but if we do need them at some point, for whatever reason, we have them. So, I do try to grab webs every now and again, just because I like having the option, but next up, we got Chansey, Joy the Chansey. Everyone pretty much knows what Chansey does. I didn't want Chansey. I wanted Blissey. I really wanted Blissey because Blissey is basically Chansey, but without needing the Eviolite. It's the exact same fucking Pokemon, but someone else took it, and I'm like, fuck, I'll just take Chansey, I guess. I don't know. We're just gonna make it work. I understand 20-minute timer doesn't really help this thing's case of me being hyper offense, more or less, but it's fine. I don't see an issue. And last but not least, we have Thriller the Jolteon, who's actually our Terra Captain. So every team gets 1 Terra Captain. I could have done any of our other mods. I could have done Jugulus, could have done Azumarill, could have done Goldango, could have done Excalibur. But you know what? This is a really fast special attacker that I can do Terra Ice, Terra Water, Terra Gray. I got a ton of options with it. So I'm like, you know what? Honestly, it's a fast special attacker. Hits decently hard. 110 special attack is solid. And it has 2 decent abilities, Volt Absorb and Quick Feet. So you know what? If I'm gonna try something out, I'm gonna try it. Like, if I want to try something, I will. And this was like, you know what? I have nothing else that I can think of that I'm gonna need. I don't have an electric type, and there's not really a ton on the board that interests me. So, plus, you know what? It's good to, draft him on. That's like one of my good buddies. Like, it's his mascot. So, but yeah, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and get on out of here. Let me know what you guys think our record is gonna be this season. I believe there's 9 weeks. I'm hoping with this team we can go 6-3, 5-4. I think that's I want to have a winning record. That is my goal. If we make playoffs, awesome. I would love to win. I would love to get into playoffs. I'd love to win the championship, obviously. But in order to win the championship, we have to make the playoffs. And in order to make it to playoffs, we probably need a winning record. So, winning record's the goal. But hey, if we win a championship, that's gonna be awesome. Have our first league of the season of Gen 9 be a winning league. That'd be pretty cool. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. Go ahead, check out Brendan's channel and everything in the description below. Huge shout outs to him for running this. It's awesome. I love it. But yeah, I'll see you guys in week 1. Peace out.